Hey everyone, and welcome. If you've got an exam on attitude and social cognition breathing down your neck, then you've absolutely come to the right place. This is your fast-paced revision session, designed to help you master all the key concepts you'll need. All right, let's jump right in. So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the big picture, what social cognition is all about. Then we'll dive deep into attitude, what it is, how we form them, and how they get changed. And to finish, we'll pull it all together with a final checklist to make sure you're totally prepped for your exam. First things first, let's set the stage with social cognition. Because, before we can even get into attitudes, we've got to understand the basic mental programming we use to make sense of our social worlds. So what is it really? Well, simply put, social cognition is all the behind-the-scenes mental work we do to figure people out. And these processes get switched on by something called schemas. Just think of them like mental shortcuts or little roadmaps we have in our brain that help us navigate everything and everyone around us. Okay, so social cognition basically stands on three main legs. You've got impression formation, that's your gut reaction or first judgment about someone. Then there's attribution, that's when you try to figure out why somebody is doing what they're doing. And then, the star of our show today, the big one for your exam, attitude. This is our main focus, so let's get into it. All right, now that we've got the basics down, let's get to the main event, attitude. This is a super important concept for your exam, so you'll want to pay close attention here. It shows up all the time. Okay, time for an exam-ready definition. An attitude is basically your mindset about something. Could be a person, an idea, anything really. But the key part is that it always has an evaluative feature. You're not just thinking about it, you're judging it. Basically, do you think it's good, bad, or are you just kind of neutral about it? That's an attitude in a nutshell. So how do we actually break an attitude down? Well, for your exam, you need to know the ABC model. It's super helpful. A stands for affective, that's your feelings. B is for behavioral, that's what you do. And C is for cognitive, that's what you think or believe. And here's the key thing. For a really solid attitude, all three of these should be pointing in the same direction. Let's make this real with an example. Say there's a campaign to plant more trees. Your cognitive part is the thought. Yup, a greener planet is super important. The affective part is your feeling. I love being around nature, and it makes me sad to see deforestation. And finally, the behavioral part is the action. I'm going to go out there and help plant some trees. See how that works? The thought, the feeling, and the action all line up. Okay, so besides the ABCs, there are 4 other features of attitudes you should know. Valence, that's just a fancy word for whether the attitude is positive or negative. Extremeness is, well, how extreme that feeling is. Simplicity or complexity is about whether it's a straightforward attitude or one that's tied up with a bunch of other beliefs. And centrality, this one's important, it's how core that attitude is to who you are. The more central it is, the harder it is to change. So we know what an attitude is, but where do they even come from? We're not just born with them, right? The simple answer, and really the key takeaway for your exam, is that they're not built in. We learn them. So how do we learn them? Well, it happens in a few different ways. First, there's association. When you end up loving history just because your history teacher was awesome. Then there's reward and punishment. Getting praised for something makes you like it more. We also learn by modeling, just by watching and copying our parents or friends. And of course, we pick up attitudes from our culture, our society, and from all the information we're exposed to every day in the news or online. So, who's doing all this teaching? Well, pretty much everyone and everything. When we're young, it's mainly our family and school. But as we get older, our friends, our reference groups, our own personal experiences, and for sure the media, all play a huge part in shaping what we think and feel. All right, now for what I think is the most interesting part. How do attitudes change? They're not permanent tattoos on our brain. They can definitely shift. And for your exam, there are 3 major theories you've got to know that explain how this all works. First up, we've got Fritz Heider's concept of balance. The main idea here is pretty intuitive. We humans really don't like it when our thoughts and relationships are out of whack. It creates this nagging, uncomfortable feeling that just pushes us to try and fix it, to restore the balance. Heider explains this with his POX triangle. Okay, let's break this down. Imagine P is you, O is your best friend, and X is a new movie. If you like your friend and you both love the movie, great, everything's balanced. But what if you like your friend and you love the movie, but your friend thinks it's the worst thing ever? Suddenly, you've got an imbalance, and that feels weird. So something's got to change. Maybe you'll decide the movie wasn't so great after all, or you might even feel a tiny bit annoyed at your friend. The mind just wants to get back to a state of balance. Okay, next theory, and this is a big one.
Leon Festinger's cognitive dissonance. You know that weird, cringy feeling you get when you do something that goes against what you believe? That's cognitive dissonance. The classic example is a smoker. You have the thought, smoking is terrible for my health. That's cognition 1. But then you have the behavior, I'm smoking a cigarette. That's cognition 2. The clash between those two creates dissonance, and to feel better, you either have to change your behavior or you change your thought. You might start telling yourself, it's not that bad for me.
And last but not least, we've got the two-step concept from S.M Mohsin. This one's pretty straightforward. It suggests attitude change happens in, you guessed it, 2 steps. Step 1 is all about connection. The person you're trying to influence, the target, has to actually like you or look up to you, the source. Then comes step 2. Once that bond is there, if you change your attitude about something, they're way more likely to change theirs too. The relationship comes first.
Okay, we have covered a ton, so let's pull everything together with a final checklist. Think of this as your cheat sheet for the exam, everything you need to know in one place.
All right, let's run through it. Attitude, it's your evaluation of something. Its components, the ABCs, affective, behavioral, cognitive. Its features, valence, extremeness, complexity, and centrality. How's it formed? Through learning. And how does it change? Remember our 3 big theories? Heider's concept of valence, Festinger's cognitive dissonance, and Mohsin's 2-step concept. Get these names and ideas locked in your head, and you are going to be golden for the exam.
And hey, before you go, I want to leave you with a final thought. This stuff isn't just theory for an exam. It's the instruction manual for how our minds work every single day. So as you leave, ask yourself, now that you've got these tools, how could you use them to take a closer look at one of your own attitudes? Seriously, good luck on your exams. You've got this.